Hey there, my name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is the Paltry Sum. I was talking to my brother the past couple of weeks and my friend Brandy, and I was talking to them about, we were talking about manifestation and the power to create anything you want. And I mentioned before, you can follow my friend Denise under Denise Manifestation Coach on YouTube. She and my brother hold very similar views around you can create anything you want. There's no one else in the room. Everyone else is a hologram reflecting your consciousness back to you. And so ultimately, if you want to shift the paradigm you're experiencing, you would shift the consciousness you're holding. And as you shift your inner consciousness, you shift the outer outpicturing of your consciousness. And I hold a very similar view. I think we have some distinctions. But I was just telling my brother, like, that's cool. That's fun that we have free will and we can create anything we want. And if we want to judge it, we can call it a creation or a miscreation. But if we don't want to judge it, we could just call it all creation and all opportunity to learn and grow and get to know who you are. And that's really neat. And I have studied a lot of near-death experiences. I've studied a lot of spiritual texts. I've spent most of my life studying spirit and in a lot of ways searching for my dead. I've said I've buried 60 to 70 people now. I don't know what it is because it was like 5 people in the last year. But with all the death, it's not that I've been at all of those burials, but 60 to 70 people I've known have turned to ash or gone in the grave. And there's something that when you start studying death and you start studying near-death experiences where you recognize the vast majority of people that have near-death experiences, aside from being able to recite verbatim conversations that occurred while they were dead scientifically, it's like, why would their brain have that knowledge if they're brain dead? Riddle me this, science. But like, aside from having all these really cool, interesting facets of anomalies, which is what science calls things they can't explain yet, which they have a bunch of, there's this facet of people having an experience of being embraced in a warm light, a light that's very bright, but it's very warm, and feeling agape, feeling unconditional love, feeling the burden of judgment, the burden of separation, the delusion of separation melting away, and feeling no sense of time, feeling that they have unlimited, like there's no concept of time or clock or movement, and they're just free and liberated and loved, deeply loved, feeling overwhelming love. That is a pretty universal response to a near-death experience, feeling great love. And so I was explaining to my brother that I feel like anything I create in this realm will always be a paltry sum of the agape, of the unconditional love of being back in the arms of God. And one of the things that I've experienced because I've experienced so much death is just an awareness that I think each of us, for some of us, the spark is very slight. And for some of us, the spark is very bright. But this slight awareness that I think we all hold, that we know that we have spirit. And we know there's an animus back of things, no matter how atheistic people say they are. I think there's some layer of consciousness where we cannot absolutely, conclusively delete that file. And there's a part of us that knows when people die that they went home. They're home. They're at home. They're in the agape. They're in the unconditional love. They're in the weighty sum of what it means to be loved, with a greatness, with a vastness, with a non-stoppingness, And so, because I've heard this again and again and again, and I think there's a part of me, my spark is quite bright because I spend a lot of time and attention focused on spirit and soul. I spend time in the inner levels getting to know what's there aside from the physical body. There's a part of me that knows and remembers that love. And it knows as well that no matter what I create in this realm, it will never compare to divine love, to unconditional love, to angelic love, to the love of a spirit guide, to the love of, lifetimes of union with a person and knowing and having awareness of that instead of just this singular iteration with an entity. And so it's like no matter what relationship I create, what home or family I create, no matter how lovely. Heather loves the concept of the beloved and being lovely to my lover and beloved and having a family, whatever that looks like, or home, or the concept of having union. And, no matter what I want to create, whether it be great prosperity or even creating a magical, mystical college, which is my destiny, it is written. That is the thing I came here to do. Those are all cool, wonderful aims and exciting aims. And still, they are a paltry sum of resting in the breath of agape or divine love. They will never compare to what I have waiting for me when I'm dead, And so it's like, I really do think that's why grief is so painful sometimes, because we know we're still here fiddling with this dream, fiddling with these holograms, and we know there's something so magnificent and so powerful waiting for us on the other side. And so what my friends and my family are often my teachers, and I can be dark, that's part of having Scorpio Mercury, Scorpio cusping sun, Scorpio teachings. Astrology is not an excuse system, which is what a lot of people like to joke about in the modern age. It's simply showing you what your predominant frequency has been for many lifetimes and giving you the freedom to choose again if you so choose to. And I can say I've chosen to be kind of dark and like macabre and really like focused on death. And I don't find that to be I find that to be a precious topic to be willing to touch and look at and feel, because the only thing any of you know, the only thing I will ever know, is that I'm going to exit this flesh costume. Everything else in life is pretty much the stories we tell while life is doing its own thing and giving us its own lessons, Make a plan and watch God laugh, And so we know we're going to die. So I think it's valuable to consider that and to weigh that and to look at the burden of proof present from near-death experiences, reincarnation stories. There's volumes and volumes of proof and evidence, but let's look at it. Let's consider, what does this really mean to die? And I spend maybe a little bit too much time thinking about that, I think it's atmosphere that says something like, I think about death more than all of y'all think about sex, and it's true, like something along those lines. And I like feel that line every time. I'm like, yeah, I think about death a bunch. And it's been my teacher. It's always popping back up in the field. It was here 5 times in the past year. There's death again. There's death again. And what my teachers, my brother and my friend, were reminding me is that you're always eternally going to go back to that. Your consciousness, which I do believe has multiple incarnations at one time. I do believe in multilocality. I don't think that consciousness is so limited that it inhabits one flesh costume at a time. I think I'm doing Heather Feather, the owner of Rare Bird Medicine right now, and I think I'm in other flesh costumes. I'm in Greece in the 1300s reading the Akashic records and, other things. I have multilocality. But as we withdraw consciousness from, let's say, this flesh costume, and more of it goes into the source side of things, that's what we're eternally doing, is probing our consciousness back into flesh costumes and pulling it back out and probing it back in. And so they were just reminding me, like, you don't have to, like, be like, well, one day I'll get to die, be in the arms of God. And, I don't have to, like, pretend like anything in this realm was ever going to feel that good. He was reminding me, my brother was telling me, like, just enjoy this creative time where you have free will and the laws of metaphysics, you're a metaphysician, the laws of manifestation, how to create the reality you want. Like, whatever trials, tribulations you've chosen to create, go ahead and glean the insights. Go ahead and get the gifts from those. Figure out what is the lesson you wanted to learn from that toxic relationship, or from that death that is really hard to digest, or from that XYZ-ness, that car accident that permanently destroyed your back, or whatever it is. What is it you're wanting to know about support, which is what the back represents? What is it, when we break down the symbology of it all, that your consciousness is really trying to wrap its cute little brain nugget around? Let's get the gift of the trials and tribulations, and then let's go ahead and create a delicious reality that we want. And even if it is a paltry sum, even if it doesn't even come close to unconditional love, and the beauty of agape, it too can be a fruit of what you enjoy chewing, you know? So let's consider, is there anything in your life that has an outpicturing right now that you would like to have it be different? Your vehicle, your home, your finances, your relationship, your health, your any of those things. Just pick anything, pick any topic that you value. And then take a look at your thread of consciousness on that topic. Where has it been? Where has your thread of consciousness been? I can tell you, I've made evolutionary leaps in consciousness around the thread called relationship. I'm having a lovely relationship with Manny right now, totally enjoying his company, and we're having lots of fun. And I'm like, wow, I'm getting to see my own progress around the concept of romantic relationship with this gentleman. What a grace. I love it so much. And so I'm noticing that, like, as I pick up this piece and enjoy this piece, I might choose to drop other balls of creation, like how am I doing on my exercise regimen and my self-care regimen? And so then I pick up the piece of communication and make sure that's present and make sure I keep those things present because they keep me in balance. They keep me in physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual balance to consider how am I doing in the physical world? How clean is my home? How am I balancing and juggling my life? And what do I want to have be different? So consider any area of your life. Do you have any outpicturings that don't look the way you want? Well, here's the great news. In the end, we all get to experience unconditional love. Yay! I always say we all get to die. Yes, you get to die. I get to die. We get to die, you guys. And until that time comes, let's use this creative principle. Let's use this creative power to ensure that we're not living a life of paltry sum. Let's enjoy the cornucopia. Let's enjoy the feast. Let's break open the loaves. Let's drink the wine, whatever it is, whatever your pleasure is. Let's enjoy this creative potential that we have, because life is fundamentally a blank canvas that is reflecting the content of your consciousness back to you. The 3D world is the content of your consciousness. And if there's any outpicturing in there that isn't one that you want to look at, take a minute to get honest with yourself about the thread of consciousness you've held on that topic. If you're scarce and poor and impoverished, how often do you talk about it? How often are you talking about that? How often are you holding consciousness on your concern of that, So we get honest about where we are in mind, in our creative mind. And the first thing I always want to do is apply a certain level of grace, a certain level of forgiveness, a certain level of loving kindness to Heather Featherness for anything that I might want to judge and label as a miscreation, whether that be the layers of scarcity or hunger that I've experienced in this life, the layers of trial, tribulation, whatever it is, car accidents. Oh my God, I made a car accident. That was a miscreation. All of it served, all of it evolved me. So let me give myself a grace of understanding that everything I've created none of it's been a miscreation. It's all been a perfect creation to aid in the evolution of my awareness. It's all given the opportunity to express who I am. And I have infinite creative freedom with my free will right now to really dive into enjoying this paradigm and making life a true feast, making it a cornucopia of things that I enjoy. And that happens through my intentional conscious awareness being placed in spaces like gratitude as opposed to loss. It's easy for me to focus on loss. There's a lot of dead people, and I can think about loss in a lot of different layers, but even just the consciousness of the loss of loved ones, which I didn't lose because I get to die and be with them again, and incarnate with them again and again and again. So it's just like a silly story. There's no loss. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, which means foundationally, universe is designed for us to never have loss. So what are we complaining about when we're really talking about loss? It's this fear that we can be alone or divided. So how can I make my life more unified, more inclusive, more delicious, more what I'm seeking this? Are there any changes that you would like to make to experience the cornucopia of life instead of feeling like you just have a paltry sum. You can always subscribe to Rare Bird Medicine on YouTube, like and comment there. I always love to hear your thoughts. Amun.